You want an investment edge, but all you hear is noise, hype, and half-truths. Every signal is solid information, but only if you can see the bigger picture. This is where the Quasar magic happens. Weather, charts, news, all financial signals, funneled into a single dashboard. Data alone isn't enough. Quasar Markets turns it into energy, sharp, clear, precise. Optimize with Quasar Markets today. Your edge when investing.
You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar family. It's Tuesday, November 11th. The markets are open. Treasuries, though, are taking the day off for Veterans Day, and we're finally seeing some progress in D.C. after the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Good morning, everybody. Market Shark, Ida, all of you in there. If you can hit that like button, share button, give us a comment, help us trick the algorithm, we would really appreciate it. I am flying solo today. Steve's back from New York, but catching up on his travel and rest. So it's just me, you, the markets, and some caffeine to get us rolling this morning. We will cover today the government shutdown deal and what it means for the markets. We'll take a reaction look across treasuries, gold, Bitcoin, and the VIX. A possible U.S.-Switzerland tariff truce. SoftBank is cashing out of NVIDIA to double down on OpenAI and their project Stargate. A loaded slate of pre-market movers, and yes, we'll go deep on those tickers. And finally, the end of the credit card rewards as we know them maybe, and that one gets me all up in arms because I'm a big fan of them, and we'll get into why maybe there'll be big changes there. So everybody, good morning. Markets took off yesterday. As we talked about in the morning, sort of the animal spirits took in. The NASDAQ ended up on the day 2.21%, with some real winners like NVIDIA up 5.79 in the Mag 7. Same thing, Google up 3.89 yesterday. Tesla up 3.66 after Elon's pay package was approved. So, you know, the markets definitely saw a bunch of winners. Chip market, AMD was up about 4.47, Micron 6.46%. So a bunch of those were up. A mixed bag across crypto stocks. Robinhood, Coinbase had good days, along with Hut and TerraWolf. Iron, CleanSpark, Mara Cores, few others not so good. Crypto had a strong day yesterday, has pulled back tremendously today, back below, or at least Bitcoin below yesterday's lows. And gold has nicely recovered over that 4,000, as maybe there is a little bit still of a flight or, you know, away from risk here. So the markets are definitely, or yesterday definitely celebrated the government reopening, but that hangover from it is going to be real once the numbers start flying here. We'll start to get some data and go from there. Hey, Ron, how are you doing, my friend? First thing we want to talk about is the government shutdown. As we know, by a 60-40 vote, the Senate has pushed forward the CR. And it is moving to the House. Speaker Johnson has called back the House members. They are expected back either today or I think probably by the latest sometime today. It was 48 hours they had. So we'll see when they come back. Again, I will point out we aren't all the way through it. We now have to go through the House, and then after the House, the president has to sign it. President has said what is in place so far he will sign, so that is what had the markets moving to the upside to start our day. As we take a look at the other things that I do when I'm starting my day off, advanced decline pretty muted here, only up 121. So very, very muted. No real decision on whether people are buying or selling yet. Same thing with the tick. It's been fairly muted. You can see it's been fairly close to zero or neutral most of the morning. We haven't seen a big move one way or the other. The VIX, which is the volatility index, it has moved back to the downside. It is up a little bit from the lows of yesterday. It closed low yesterday at right around that 1760 area. So it is trading above that, but most of yesterday it traded above that level. Do want to point that out. Got as high yesterday as 19 before dropping back down. That's why I say it's trading lower. So far, though, indices set to open on the downside. So as I mentioned, a little bit of a hangover so far. NASDAQ set to open down about 45 basis points. The SPY down about a quarter of a point. Across the mag, only Apple slated so far to open in the green, up slightly at 20 basis points, although Netflix, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft all within spitting distance of neutral here, so that could all change on the cash open. I mentioned on the opening, the treasuries do not trade today. They are off for Veterans Day. I also want to thank all of our veterans out there for all you do to protect our country. Thank you very much from Quasar Markets and from me personally. So thank you. Okay, what else do I have going on so far? As I mentioned, Senate finally passed its bill last night, ending the record-breaking shutdown 60-40 with a handful of Democrats crossing over. The bill funds the government through January, reverses shutdown layoffs, guarantees back pay, and even sets up a bipartisan budget process so we don't have to maybe play the shutdown roulette every quarter. The House now gets its turn with Speaker Mike Johnson calling members back for a vote, possibly as early as tomorrow. And again, the President Trump already signaling support. Matters for two reasons. It removes a big political tail risk. No more what if paychecks stop headlines and what if SNAP benefits don't get paid out. So hopefully it stops. And it would restart the macroeconomic data flow that we know we haven't seen, right? BLS has been down. Commerce Department and others were dark. That means when the lights flip back on, we're going to get a data tsunami. Inflation, retail sales, unemployment, all compressed into a short window. So volatility should whip up. So again, why am I mentioning that? If you do see the VIX pull back down, especially below 17, or right around that 17 level, I would start to get yourself a little bit of volatility protection, right? Because those are all the things that are going to hit the headlines when we come out of it. So while the markets were celebrating that government reopening, as I said earlier, that hangover that's going to come from it is going to be real once the numbers start flying. Let's see so far next. What's been the market reaction? As I said, VIX sitting just under 18 after a classic Monday volatility crush. We had a massive rally up towards 20 as volatility came out of the system. Typical pattern, panic Friday, relief Monday, and then watch on Tuesday for the next direction. With us being closed over Veterans Day for treasuries, 10 years sits at 4.12. 30-year at 4.71. So again, they moved up yesterday with the markets. That is a correlation I don't like to see in general. So that had me a little worried, and why I do expect to see a little bit of profit taking, a little bit of maybe a measured pullback today. Don't be surprised. I did say, as we were checking out yesterday, make sure you book profits on those movers. I did let my crypto room know in my watch list, I am looking to take profit on Arrow, which has shot up over the last several days here, one that we have been in here, and rotate that back into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. So again, Rotate what you make money on into other things that you want to hold longer term, whatever it is that you do for your trading style. Make sure you are actively taking profits if they pop up, especially unexpectedly, as I saw there with Arrow. Hey, Marilyn, how are you this morning? So take profits there. Uniswap, I actually missed. I'm now going to see if it bounces back here this morning. Uniswap, UNI was another one that had really shot up. I didn't notice that yesterday. Well, it made most of its move after hours. But that's one that I would also look to rotate a little bit out of Uniswap on a move up of, from 4 to 10 over the last 24 hours. Take profit, rotate that back into Bitcoin, Ethereum, the Qs, gold, whatever it is you want to put it into next. But that's the idea, right? If we get those big gains out of nowhere, we see some of the best relief rallies, right? We've talked about it during a down market. Take advantage of it, maximize that, move out of them. Don't just stay in them when they make those unexpected moves. Take your profit and move on, rotate it. And I do believe that is always your best, course of action. And I know if BigBeat was with us today, he would say the same. So what else do we have going on? Gold, as I mentioned, above 4,100 again. Peter Thomas saying, it's broken through its key resistance now. Look for a run back up towards its all-time high here, 43.81. So coming from him, we are looking for it. It broke through the key resistance. It retested some of that, and it's moving back up. So the yellow metal has again turned into that relative at Thanksgiving who's always right and can't be ignored. We see Wells Fargo calling for 4,500 to 4,700 by late next year, and UBS even dropped to a $5,000 forecast by 2027. And Saxo Bank even went even further, saying if momentum accelerates, 5K could happen in the next 12 months. So the gold trade is not done for sure. And why? The trifecta: fiscal blowout, central bank hoarding, and geopolitical tension soup. Gold is no longer an inflation hedge. It's the everything hedge, right? That's what we're seeing for sure. And also, as Peter Thomas has told us, it has also made a move into an industrial metal, right? Gold is needed in all of these chips that we see. And if NVIDIA is going to power the new generation with thousands and thousands of the new chips, that's what's going to be in them. So it makes even another tie to it that it has not really had for centuries. Bitcoin is down about 1%, as I mentioned also here, actually about 1.5% now, 104,354, below yesterday's lows. So I don't like the setup I am seeing there. And it's still all perpetual futures led. If you take a look at the volume flows, they're still very much led by what we're seeing in the futures market, not in the spot market. Volume on Bitcoin futures last 24 hours, 108 billion. Spot volume only 7.45 billion. We did also see some more Bitcoin whales move some coins over to exchanges, exasperating some sell pressure there. So something to keep an eye on. And again, my suggestions is only acquiring back down towards that 100 level at 100K, 99K. I keep dipping my toes in little by little, but that's where I'm looking. Ethereum's held up better so far, 35, 32 here, but well, it's getting close now. It was holding up nicely above yesterday's lows when it was trading at about 35.60, but it has since reversed. Now looks like it will challenge the 200-day MA there. I would start to look for maybe a swing trade off of that 200-day MA at 34.32, but that's, and I'm not really buying for accumulation unless it gets back down to 3,200. So it's a mixed bag of what we have across all of the different markets. Like we said, advanced decline, fairly neutral, 177. Tick is still slightly down. Qs are making a little bit of a move to the upside over the last 10, 15 minutes. Same thing with the SPY. Hey, we got some trade talk here, but not one that I don't know. Does anyone matter? Does it matter? I guess it's all about watches, chocolate, and pharma. That's because, again, looks like we're going to be friends with Switzerland again. US and Switzerland are reportedly close to a deal to slash the 39% tariff President Trump slapped on them this summer, likely bringing it down to around 15%, matching the other EU levels. It is a big win for watchmakers like Swatch, Reichmann, and Breitling, plus pharma exporters like Roche and Novartis for sure. Swiss CEOs had called the tariff horrible. So it is a good change for them. They are happy to see it. Markets seem to love it. The Swiss luxury stocks are green. If finalized, it cools one of the more pointless skirmishes in the Trump global war, and it takes a bit of pressure off the global supply chains. Good morning, Zora. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Bottom line is less friction equals better margins, more room for stocks to run. We'll call it the neutral deal play. So we are 10 minutes from the open. I'm going to take a quick commercial here while I take a drink and get ready for the next session in the markets to open.
You want an investment edge, but all you hear is noise, hype, and half-truths. Every signal is solid information, but only if you can see the bigger picture. This is where the Quasar magic happens. Weather, charts, news, all financial signals funneled into a single dashboard. Data alone isn't enough. Quasar Markets turns it into energy, sharp, clear, precise. Optimize with Quasar Markets today. Your edge when investing.
You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Okay, Quasar Markets, I am back. As I mentioned earlier, NVIDIA, big news has been that SoftBank is exiting their entire NVIDIA position to fund their OpenAI and Stargate. One of the biggest headlines we've seen, they've confirmed they've sold their entire stake in NVIDIA, only $5.8 billion worth to free up capital for new AI investments. We see they're down about 1.93% on that news or sell pressure, however you look at it. Although if I had to guess, they've been quietly selling for a matter of days. SoftBank CEO said they're all in on OpenAI and the $500 billion Stargate project and new semiconductor ventures. So yes, they sold one AI crown jewel to bet on the next frontier. Now, this is not a bearish take on NVIDIA. In fact, SoftBank called it asset monetization. They still rely heavily on NVIDIA chips for their ventures, but it does highlight a rotation happening under the root. Money moving from chip makers to model builders, cloud infrastructure, and energy supply chains. Because let's face it, AI right now isn't limited by GPUs. It's limited by electricity, data centers, and cooling capacity. CoreWeave's results show exactly that. So don't read this as SoftBank dumps NVIDIA. Reads it as SoftBank is funding the next layer of AI stack. It's like selling your Ferrari to build a racetrack. And I will mention that, that they pointed out time and time again in the announcement and in the interviews that I saw that they are still very pro NVIDIA, but they needed to raise billions and billions and billions of dollars to fund over the next quarter their commitment to that Stargate and OpenAI. The money has to come from somewhere. So again, just like I mentioned with my rotation out of some of my crypto into others, that is what they're doing there. It's more of that. Okay, as we are about 7 minutes from the open, let's take a look at some of the pre-market movers here and get a pulse of the market. I mentioned CoreWeave already. They're getting hit pretty hard here in the morning hours. Nothing there. Down about 7.42%. They lowered their fiscal year 25 guidance. They also did have a big beat on their revenue, 1.36 billion in top line revenue, and they tripled its $100 million customer list, but it lowered, as I said, their 2025 guidance due to third-party data center delays. And that's what we've talked about is while there is all this money supposedly changing hands between all of these hyperscalers and everything else, until the energy gets put into place, until it's actually got the infrastructure built out, it's a hurry up and wait. And again, it's a story about timing, not about demand. So CoreWeave down about 7.5%. This is one BigBeat likes to buy the dip on. I know he did it when it dropped back down into the 80 level last time. So I wonder here if he would be a buyer. I know I am interested because, again, it's not about what they're doing or the demand built up. And we talked about that recently with, now I forget who it was, the chip manufacturer who their orders are locked in for the next 7 years. It was AMD. And that's why they were taking off. So that is not expected there. Let's get to the other side of it, one that is moving to the upside. Rocket Labs was up about 9%, now up 8.17% here after their strong earnings. They blew the expectations out of orbit. Smaller losses, strong revenue, and bullish guidance. Space is hot again, and this name continues to show it's more aerospace infrastructure than moonshot meme. So Rocket Labs definitely moving to the upside here at 56.15. Was as high as $74 earlier in the year. So again, from a linear regression on a daily chart, this is just the start of a rebuild for Rocket Labs. Next one in the news here to take a look at is Paramount Skydance. They are merging. The merged studio is trimming another $1 billion in costs. So again, you got to love that. They're bringing their total savings to $3 billion. They've seen that as they've started to do this, acquisition and merger together, where they can have more cost-cutting savings. So that's really good. They did also announce they are going to hike Paramount Plus's subscription rates next quarter. Hollywood found its diet plan, fewer jobs, higher subscriptions. It's like the GLP-1 for media. 1636 today. On this one, I don't know if I'm a buyer of continued move up here. I think Paramount, when those price increases, I know that's what got me to sort of cut some of the cord. I was one of those folks that cut my cable cord originally and had replaced it with a bunch of the subscription services. But as some of them continued to just raise prices, I know I skimmed which ones I carry. What about you guys? What do you see out there? And again, thank you so much for helping us cross 300 viewers here. Do us a favor, hit the like button, the share button, follow us, throw a comment in for us. It helps us with the algorithm. We really do appreciate you here as we try to reach more retail traders at Quasar Markets on a daily basis. Rigetti, another one in the news here. At least this is based on earnings and discussions, not about just hype or news reports. Rigetti is off about 6%, 2% also yesterday as they had a revenue miss. The stock's still up 2,000% on the year. So, but as we can see, when they report numbers, we find out that sometimes the numbers aren't there yet. It's a matter, again, of timing. Investors want proof of paying customers, not a cool white paper. And at this time, Rigetti, as some of the others that I've spoken about in the past, are not, profitable yet at this time. So we are just about 2 minutes from the open. We got a couple of more of these we want to hit on here before we open. Big Bear, BBAI, another one up nicely this morning. Up about 21% here on their earnings beat. Small cap AI definitely doing better than the hyperscalers and the bigs The big players in there. Big Bear jumped 20% after announcing the acquisition of Ask Sage, a generative AI platform. Think Chat GPT for government contractors. Earnings beat, margins up. Retail traders are piling into the trade today, and it definitely looks like it wants to be a runner. And if it breaks through 715 here, definitely watch to a definite run to the upside. Run there, make 732 and then 780 right in line. So you got a runner here, possibly. BBAI has to be on your watch list this morning. We are about 1 minute from the open. What else was moving here? We also saw one that we see in the movers, but at least today was actually based upon its earnings. The Hesse Group out of China. And while they had a revenue miss, they had a pretty big revenue beat here, our EPS beat of about 164%. We are open here. Let's get into it. Market is open. First move for the Qs, slightly to the downside, down about 41 basis points. I want to see what NVIDIA does here off the open. First move was a down move and then a quick bounce. Let's see what we get here, though. Again, NVIDIA is all about the fact that SoftBank announced that they have sold their position. Number one, it's going to add some sell pressure to it. Number two, it's going to give some sentiment the other way. Let's take a look at some of the early morning movers here. Ooh, Rocket Lab, big sell-off here on the morning open. Was up 20%, now only up 5%. So definitely a big hit there on the open. The ones that were opening to the downside, Rigetti holding up pretty well, down about 5.3% here. Core Scientific moving still, though, to the downside. Same thing, it looks like CoreWeave has bounced back nicely here on the open so far. Gold 41.31, so after moving down since about 9 a.m., does seem to have found a little bit of a bottom here. Silver back above 50, almost at 51. So BigBeat is loving that. Copper is down a little bit from yesterday's highs, down around 31.44, but holding up pretty well. Bitcoin struggling to get any kind of momentum this morning, back at 104.275, and looks to me like it's got this should be start to see more of a down move here based on liquidation. Same thing on Ethereum. So neither looking very good to start off with. WTI is up about 1.61%. So oil moving up a little bit here. If we look at the sectors of the S&P in general, the only thing in the downside is technology. So it is a we're seeing rotation here. Tick has been fairly neutral. Advanced decline is slightly positive. Dow Jones is up 13 basis points here. So we do see the Dow still positive, but it is trading back down off of its highs so far. Q's trying to break to the upside above 621 here, so trying to break to the upside nicely here. What are you guys watching out there this morning? Let me know. We'll take a look at it with you. Costco bouncing back. Those of you know, I made a small purchase in Costco yesterday during the start of the show. Nice little move to the upside here. Going to hold that for a move back to at least 935 or so. Sorry, taking a look at my stuff here. Not all that exciting, anything on my side. Do see still, tech seems to still be moving to the downside while other things are picking up. NVIDIA, though, starting to find a little bit of a bottom after getting down to lows at 194.19, looking to break back above 195. Apple's the one in the Mag 7 doing the best so far, up almost 70 basis points. We still see Microsoft and Google negative on the day. Meta continues to slide a little bit to the downside after really bouncing back nicely yesterday. So it stops its move to the upside. Netflix moving back to the upside, though. Again, we know they moved closer to their stock split coming up later next month. Berkshire Hathaway moving back to the upside. We didn't really get into that. Warren Buffett did give his farewell um, email or letter. He's definitely a letter guy, I guess would be the way to put that. Um, his farewell letter in there, and again confirmed his belief in Greg Abel. Said you'll see him around. He will still do his Thanksgiving letter, but it won't be the one. He's handing over the reins like he talked about, and he thinks the company is in very good hands for the future. We know they're holding a ton of money, so we'll see what happens there. See what the pumpers are here this morning. We do see Rocket Lab continuing to pull back to the downside here, back at 54, now only up 4.53%. So some of the early morning movers are moving back to the downside. Same thing, Instacart and Grab both had been up really nicely this morning, but they're now pulling back to the downside. Same thing, Oxy Petroleum, some of the petroleum names now moving back to the downside. Nvidia dropping back down towards lows of the day so far. Another one that was hit earlier today. Let's see what it's done on the open. I don't know why I didn't do it the other spot. Is Beyond actually bouncing back a little bit. Beyond Meat down 5.6% after their earnings. It's given back almost all of its meme pop that we saw it take. Sales outlook was soft, literally and figuratively. When inflation bites, consumers downgrade from plant-based to whatever is on sale. Stocks down around 125, so off of lows at 769 earlier this year. So ouch for them for sure. Nvidia still moving to the downside. We now see that industrial sector has also moved into the red, financial sector moving into the red here. So a little bit more of a mixed bag. Tick pretty flat. Advanced decline is moving in the right. Well, no, highs of the day were 892, so it's right about in the middle of its trading range so far. DXY at 99.29 at lows here. So King Dollar has been pulling back since hitting that 200-day MA I pointed out last week. And that's definitely on lows of the morning too. So definitely seeing a pullback there. VIX sitting at 1764. So again, if we get a little bit more of a pullback there, I can't say it enough. Buy your protection. Okay, everybody, that is going to do it this morning for Quasar Markets. BigBeat should be back tomorrow with me, so tune on in and we'll see what he has to say, what his channel checks are from New York. Again, thank you to all of our veterans out there for all you do to protect us and keep us safe. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoy your day, and we'll see you tomorrow from Quasar Markets Live.